First of all, thank you for organizing this conference, and thank you for putting Riga in a spotlight. This is one of my dreams as well, to put back Riga in a spotlight, to get back a joy in the city, and of course investment back to the city, because we really need this. And since I today have only 15 minutes, my presentation will be short, and I will focus only on the decisions what has been already made, about the jobs what has been already done. It's not very typical for politicians, because politicians usually love to talk about the future, but today let's change this tradition for a moment. So in my agenda for today are those three topics: the key planning documents. And this is one of our top priorities. Not only to create the documents, but also to follow those documents. Because this was one of the main problems for the last 30 years. The documents what was made in Riga actually was in very good quality, but nobody was followed those documents. And sometimes you don't even know why this project is in the first place, why this project is in second place. And yeah, this was one of the topics I want to share with you. Then about our newest project, the Investment and Tourism Agency of Riga, and some of our ideas, and as I said, also jobs what has been done to facilitate investments and development. So one of the plans, what was really needed and from side of investors, was Riga Spatial Plan for 2030. And this plan was made actually 4 years ago, but only next week it goes to the City Council. We're going to vote for this plan, and for the next 10 years, all the investors can be quite sure. So what will be the requirements for land use, construction, the functional zoning, and so on and so on. And after the short celebration, we will start to work on the next plan already, because as you know, Riga will never be ready, and also our long-term plans actually is something what has to be developed all the time, and so we will work on the new plan, but the new plan of course will be in force only after 2030. So this is great news, and I'm really proud that this job is on the final phase already. The second very important plan is Riga Development Plan. And this plan includes the vision, the strategic objectives, development priorities, our long-term development, or in other words, it answers what we want to do, when we're going to do that, how we will finance this, and so on and so on. And in this plan, there's 9 top priorities, and we will focus on mobility, urban environment, climate, education, housing, city management, well-being, competitiveness, and culture. Previous plan has actually 14 programs. We will focus on those 9, so sometimes less is more. So what we have in this plan? First of all, our action plan, 500 planned projects and activities for next 7 years. We have listed those activities. We know how much they will cost, approximately. There's some ideas where to get the finance for that, and most important, in what order or what are the priorities of those plans. This is not easy task for us politicians, because politicians, we always want to say, okay, this is the object what our voters want. But this is not always right, because actually we need to see the bigger picture, what Riga needs to be done, what our residents in general want to see in Riga to be developed. And only then actually politicians can put their own priorities, which is obviously also needed. So 500 projects and activities for the next 7 years. The second is Riga Investment Plan. And investment plan will go only on 3 next years, because this is linked to the budget. So we have to put on a paper what projects will go for the next year, the year after, and so on. And most important question, how we will finance those projects. What could be, what we can use as state or government loans, what goes to the EU funding, because the new period is on the next door, and also what plans we don't have money, but we can use, like public-private partnership, for instance, which is also something quite new for our city. And finally, also a strategic investment board has been made, and yesterday was the first historical meeting of this board, where all the leaders of the committees, departments, mayor, the vice mayors, we set up the plan and we say, okay, let's vote for those projects and let's keep the promises that none of the other projects will be in this plan, and this is how we move forward, and let's cooperate and understand each other why this plan or this project is important right now. Of course, the finance it's important, and usually we hear that Riga is a rich city. It's 1 billion budget, but that's not actually very true, because 884 million are fixed costs. So actually, politicians can do something with only this quite small part of our budget, and the growth of the budget for next year is so small. It's only 20 million roughly. And there's so small things what we can done. So we need some additional investments, either from private sector or from the public sector. So, and this is the focus. By the way, the income of Riga is dropping year by year. The top record was 2019, when it was 970 million. Then last year it was 940. This year it's 917. It's not because we are losing people or we're losing income. Actually, it's because of the government decisions, because they are decreasing our part year by year, like income tax. That's why the public finance is so important, and one of the resources are the Resilience and Recovery Fund. This is one of our promises on election, that we will use the opportunity to get the finance from this fund, and I'm so proud that 300 million euros will be specifically for our mobility plans. Some of them, the part of them, half of them comes from or will be operated by the Riga City Council, other half by Riga Latvian Railway, but all the investments goes to Riga, and this is, I think, the most important. So new green mobility points to better access all the Riga regions. So our mobility system now is made that all the transport goes only to the centrum, and then if you have to go from one side to Riga to another side, you always go through the centrum, and this is actually wrong. We have to change the system, and all those green mobility points, when you can switch from one public transport to another, is very important. Tram line improvements. We see the railway as a core of our public transport, not only the trams, but also the train. And we need to improve those lines, and that's why we'll invest heavily in a new tram, not only in a new tram line, but also to rebuild existing lines. And new Metrobus lines. This is just like something very new for Riga. Unfortunately, the expenses for this project are rising day by day. We will see how much it will cost in the end, and maybe one day we have to even re-evaluate. But this Metrobus line goes through actually two big cities. Okay, so one is Pļavnieki and one is Purcēns. So Purcēns, by the way, is the third biggest city in Latvia, if you look at the number of people who live in this area. And as I said, national investments, who comes from the Latvian Railway, also will be as a part of Riga Mobility. And of course, Rail Baltic, one of the biggest projects in the history of Latvia. Some other transport projects are those three. Eastern Magistral. We are very happy that finally this project is moving. We have all the finance needed. The first phase is already, you can see, and we have also now signed a contract for the second phase. So this will be one of the magistrals. We want to get the cars out from the city centrum, and this is a good way how to move the heavily trucks from the Riga Freeport out from the city, not crossing the city centrum. There's two more projects we have to do. It's a Southern Bridge connection. We need 80 million euros for that. I don't have this money yet, but we're working on that. And also the Northern Corridor. Not all of it, because this is like a 4 billion project, but at least one part is on to move also the trucks from the left side of the river, from the Freeport, and to clean the number or reduce the number of cars in the city centrum. 200 million euros. I don't have them, but we maybe it could be proper private-public partnership, maybe some other ideas. So we work on that. So Investment and Tourism Agency of Riga, I have to apologize. For 30 years there was no investment agency in Riga, and it's not okay. But finally, in May, we started this project, and the spotlight of this agency is, first of all, to help already to the local investors, so those who are here in Riga already, and to do the service for them. And we already work with 10 large investment projects. Then maybe new partnerships. We are not alone. We work together in hand with the Latvian Investment Agency, and also to have closer relations with our startup ecosystem. Political initiatives, by the way, Digital Nomad Visa, but one of our initiatives we brought on the table of Ministry Interior, and of course international visibility, to put Riga on a map again. We already have received the Business Service Award, and we are finally in the rankings. So these are the tasks I have made for this agency. 600 million euro annual investment in Riga with agency projects, 400 new workplaces every year, and help to reach 1 billion foreign investments into Latvia. It's not challenging, because last year it was 763 million. A lot of meetings, go in the field, work out from the office, reach 70% of the tourism flow we had in 2019. And I'm so happy that this year, with the biggest culture and music event, Positivus, will be in Riga, not only this year, but also 2 more years. And of course, develop and implement new city brand. Riga is a really strong brand, but you need to work with this brand, right? And some other instruments. So the Green Corridor has been made for fast-track approval. If there is a specific business building or new housing project, you can get the approval from the Bureau of Construction within few weeks, not longer than 1 month. And also, if in the future, if it will be one of the priority sectors, as you can see in the slide, it's also will be on this fast track. We will support the high-quality housing, and I'm so happy that it's really booming now in Riga, and in the nearest future, the new houses will be built, and special for this affordable housing and rent apartments. And we will also ensure the property tax discounts for those projects during the construction and during the time of the project, which was really needed from the side of investors. We will support the new office and factory buildings. Again, what we can do, our instrument are the taxes, and so we will have made a much more motivated system now for taxes, and of course innovative support programs. And this is the first year, 2021, then support for startup system was made. It was 160,000 euros, and for next year we doubled this amount. So as you can see, and my time is over, then we have development plans for Riga, but most important, there is already a decision has been made, and there is already results we can show. Thank you so much for your attention, and welcome back to Riga. Okay.
So, Mayor Staķis, your words, I think, have hit a proper note with our listeners, because we have some questions for you already on the Slido platform. So thank you for our active participants. They are appearing now on the screen, and I think we have time for one of these questions. So let's take a quick look. Number one is definitely relevant to one of our later themes, so why don't we go with that one? Is Riga planning to work towards attracting international talent, and how?
Well, one of the initiatives, the Digital Nomad Visa, I think is a great initiative to get talents for all around the world. And this is number one. Number two, of course, are the high-paid workplaces. And that's why Riga Investment Agency was made. And we already have a few very interesting projects in the next years, so welcome. Riga, Vilnius and Tallinn are competing or the same or similar goals to attract the best workforce investments. Should the Baltic capital cooperate?
Is there competition or cooperation? We have three great capitals in the region.
Well, you know, I come from the business, and business is simple. You have to answer on two questions. Who is your customer and who is your competitor? If you know who is your competitor, you know what to do. You will be either, I don't know, more efficient, cheaper, better on marketing, and we know who are our competitors as a city, and we are really investigate what they are doing and how we can be better than them. And this is again why the Riga Investment Agency was made.
Okay, well, we have another very topical question now. For those of you who aren't in Riga, it's currently snowing outside, and this question says, is asking about that. It seems to be a surprise that it is snowing in the winter. What is the plan to ensure business continuity, i.e. avoid failures in the future, such as Riga Airport closing yesterday? And this is, as someone who spends a lot of time in the US, I know they have problems with that too. I think Texas recently experienced energy problems due to snow. So what is Riga's plan?
Well, I consider this as a compliment. I'm really powerful. There's something I can't change, and this is the snowfalls in Riga, and we had a record there. I think this was the first day in the history of Riga when we have a red alert in a snowing, and I think we are doing quite well. So today I made a trip before this conference by going around and see that all the techniques are on the streets and working. So give us a little bit of time and be patient and enjoy the winter as well.
Wonderful. And I think that we are out of time. Again, thank you, Mayor Staķis, for your remarks.
So much.